Welcome to Friday of Passion Week. During this season, we are joining together as one church family to reflect and meditate on the miracle of Easter, the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. Everything Christ said was powerful, but his 7 last sayings on the cross before he died deserve special contemplation. The saying for today, Good Friday, is from John 19:30, where Jesus declares, "It is finished." When he had received the drink, Jesus said, "It is finished." With that, he bowed his head and gave up his spirit. He says this after announcing that he was thirsty and taking a drink from a sponge soaked in wine vinegar and lifted up to him. Most people connect this action to Psalm 69, where it says, "They gave me vinegar for my thirst." In this case, and a number of other events leading up to the cross, Jesus actively took part in bringing about the events of his passion. He was seeking to fulfill the scriptures. Jesus wasn't just a passive victim of the system. He was purposefully fulfilling both the scriptures and the mission the Father gave him to do. Earlier in John's Gospel, Jesus says, "My food is to do the will of him who sent me, and to finish his work." The word "to finish" there is really closely related to the word that Jesus uses here on the cross when he says, "It is finished," or "it is accomplished." In this moment, at the lowest point of his life, where he is dying an excruciating death, his disciples scattered, and the women with him mourning his defeat, Jesus triumphantly announces the completion of his mission. Jesus knows that his death will satisfy God's justice. He knows that by paying for the sins of everyone who trusts him, those sins will never need to be paid for again. God's justice demands that sins are paid for, either by oneself or by a substitute. We get a picture of that substitute through the repeated sacrifices required in the Old Testament. But here, Jesus says, "I have done everything I need to do to be that substitute for good. It is finished." After these words, verse 30 says that he bowed his head and gave up his spirit. At first glance, it might seem like Jesus bowed his head out of weakness or exhaustion. But once again, we see deliberate acts by Jesus to fulfill all that God had planned. The same Greek word meaning to give up his life is used in Isaiah 53:12 to describe the death of the suffering servant, a figure in the Psalms that gives himself up for the salvation of the nation. Jesus is identifying himself with this well-known figure of the suffering servant. He is in full control here, embracing the mission that the Father gave him. He has brought everything to its climax in his own death and his own resurrection that will take place in just a few days. It is finished. What amazing words for those of us who have put our faith and hope in Jesus. Nothing more needs to be done. God is satisfied and we are welcome in his presence. None of us have lived a perfect life. We can't even put together a perfect day. So Jesus did it for us. None of us could have paid for our own sins and survived. So Jesus did it for us. He did it once and for all, for us. His lowest moment was our salvation, and his triumphal declaration anticipated our eternal hope. It is finished. As you go about your day today, reflect on the incredible sacrifice that Jesus chose to make for you, but also reflect on the fact that Jesus was very aware that his darkest moment was also the culmination of his mission and his great triumph. Have a blessed Good Friday, and we'll see you again tomorrow.